This is the second part of MATLAB for beginners. Today we'll be looking at entering statement in your command window. But before we do that, we need to set our command window preferences. MATLAB has so many preferences you can set to customize the look of your command window. The look of your command window that we have here. The few that we have that we can talk about is a text display, which actually select a numeric format options that you can use to specify the output format of numeric values in the command window. We have the date time format, which actually select a locally option to specify the default input locally of the datetime object. Then we have the display. This one select wrap lines to make each line of input or output in the command window break into multiple lines to fit within the current width of the command window. And finally, the tab key, which actually determines the tab size, specifies how many numbers of spaces assigned to the tab key on your keyboard. Then we will also look at command window automatic completion preferences. Okay, let's start with a text display. If we go to our home menu, we have a displayed ribbon for our home menu. So the display ribbon, under the display ribbon, we can look for system preferences, which is here under your environment section of the home menu ribbon. So you click on preferences. Okay, then under MATLAB, we can pop it open, then go to command window. Now, in your command window, we have we can set here we have numeric format, we have short, so we have long. Then we can experiment for you to see how values appear when you set some of these numeric formats. So let's say, for example, we take a short and a low spacing numeric format. Okay, and the second part where we have a date time format, we can set US and some other countries, Japan, China, and so on. Then the default date time, you can see we have the day, we have the month, and we have the year. Then the hours, there's a pop-up there showing you different kinds of formats that you can choose from. Okay, but the default here is only set on this, no time. Okay, let's apply what we have, the preferences we have chosen. For example, let's make a variable A. Let's say variable capital A equal to, let's make a string. Make a string. The root seems good, because you can type anything you want to. Then we can suppress the output, or let's remove suppression. You click enter. That is for text. Okay, if we go for numeric value, let's say 28, and we press enter, that is short. Okay, but if we go back to preferences and fix, change from short to long, and then loose, apply, and come back here and say b equal to 45.0. Okay, it's equal to 0 to 3. Now you can see this is long and loose. But if we set the preferences to maybe long compact, let's see the effect. You can say C equal to the compact is still displaying the same. You can go back, experiment with long E, compact, still you see the long still responds the same. So we can go back and use short G, still you see you can see that is short. You can notice here that there seems to be an approximation of the value to 2 decimal places with short G. Okay, we can move to the date format. Let's set the locally to US and probably we are going to we'll get to the date time when we go to entering a command on the command window. Then another thing is you can ask the display to wrap the lines. I said before, this is under display preferences. You can set the command window to wrap the lines. Wrap the lines of your input or the output in the command window, or break it into multiple lines to fit within the current width of the command window. For here we have, you can set the wrap lines. You can set matrix display width to maybe 80 columns, 80 columns or less. Then finally on display you can have the number of lines in the command window. For example, let's say we are having here the book first scroll to be only 5,000 lines. So if we create a matrix where you have zeros, or maybe 10,000 by 1 zeros, 10,000 by 1. Let's also press the output, enter. Now discover that if you make a count of what is being displayed here, it will not be more than 5,000, even if the vector itself, the vector of zeros, is up to 10,000. You can further customize that. You can increase that to maximum. The maximum we have is 25,000 lines. So any metrics or data that is beyond that, some parts after 25,000 entries is not going to display on the command window. But you can use a matrix indexing to move back to any particular location of your data to view your matrices or to see your matrices. Okay. Then finally we can go to the tab. If you look at the tab key, we are having a size of 4. The size of 4 simply means if you tap on the line, if you tap, you are going to have the tab key space moving about 4 spaces, and also you can set the tab to tab completion. Okay, let's return back here first. Let us now set automatic command window completion preferences, and here we will still go to MATLAB, and then under MATLAB the command window. Then we now look for automatic completion. Okay, looking for where we can find we can come down to the end, and then we click on tab completion, which now takes us to the keyboard section where we can enable tab completion is already enabled. Tab function link is already enabled. Then enable function hints, as when you type, you click on the tab, match on arrows. Okay, let's that has already been set for us. Let's experiment with it. Let's clear the command window. Let's come back here and say, I say 0 and I click on tab. You can see now I have a suggestion. So you can see that when I click on tab, a pop-up just comes up. to allow me to select. Okay, we can find the pop-up now coming up to give me hints. But if I need more help, these are different suggestions for the zero function. If I need more help, you can see here below, you can click more help, and that will automatically bring up a flyout that contains documentation on that particular function that you are currently calling. Okay, sorry, mine seems to be so slow. As we keep waiting for it to pop up, let's look at the command windows. We can actually set okay, here the documentation for the zero function that we just typed has just popped up, so you can scroll down to actually see what are the inputs, what you can input, and what you can use to call this particular function. So just a brief summary documentation of the particular function in question. So we can remove this. Another thing we may need to do, we may need to look at syntax highlighting, and that is to help you identify MATLAB elements, some entries. So that some entries appears in different colors in the command window, even in the editor or the live editor. This color display is known as syntax highlighting. By default, keywords are blue. That's by default. Character vectors and strings are purple, which we can confirm that if we make a string, let's good man. Alright, you can see the color immediately snap to purple. Then comments are green. And how do you make a comment in MATLAB? You use percentage sign, it could be 1, it could be double, and so on. So if we say the function is meant to calculate sum of numbers. You can see the color is green. Alright. While we say unterminated character vectors are maroon in color. Okay. Let's say we have is equal to greater see, the color is maroon. It's not terminated, but once I put it here, it snaps back to normal character and becomes purple. Now we can change this syntax highlighting on the home tab in the environment section. So as we did before, what we need to do is just come back to preference and go to editor, preference, under MATLAB, you go to editor. Yeah, under editor we still have come to language. When we come to language, we have a drop down. We have where we say enable syntax highlighting. On the left, on the right hand side, you can see set syntax colors, which now takes you to color. So in here you have you can set the keyword color, which is already blue here, while the comment is green, which is what we have seen. What we are seeing, the strings are purple, unterminated strings maroon. Then system command, don't really know what color is this, but you can change this to whatever color you want it to be. Then for warning or error, we have red. Then warning, we have the kind of orange. Then hyperlink, any hyperlink you have will be in blue. So we can change this. Now here we have can say use system the system colors. We can remove this and allow the system to use what we have set here. Okay, we can also use the system colors. We can remove this to allow us to set the background. We can change this from, it was originally the text color was black before, and the background is white, as we can see here. As we can see here, then we can change this, allow the text color to be white, and while the background becomes black. Then if we do apply that, you can see the effect on our desktop. Going back to the preferences, we can change back to the text to be white and the background to be black, and then we apply. Then we can disable this so that somebody doesn't mistakenly set it. But if you want to set it, you can remove, uncheck it, then do your setting here, whatever color you want the text to appear. You can also do that. Okay, then we can look at the font size. The first one, we can look at the desktop code font. Here we have let's change the font to maybe Arial black, and then increase the font size to probably 14, and you can see the changes, what it will look like on your command window. Then we apply that. If we apply that, we can see on the command window the changes has been propagated already. If we want to set for desktop, then we need to remove from or using system font, and then we can now set it to affect every other thing outside. Let's say we still set it at Arial black and then the font size 12, and we apply it now. So you can see, if you come here, you can see that the font sizes have changed. Okay, and that's virtually, those are the basic things you can set before, depending on what you want, before you begin to begin your coding. Let's return this back to monopath. Monospace, and let's leave it at 12 for the command window. Then for the other section, the workspace and the command history, we can leave it at Arial black, but let's go with 10. Okay, so you can see here even the workspace, the font and the size, the font type and the font family and the font size have just changed based on the changes that we've made. Okay, at this point we will go back to entering statement in your command window. We are just through with setting preferences. As for your user interface, the preferences for your user interface. Okay, entering a command on the command window, let's output this. Use CLC to clear your command window, then use clear to clear your workspace. Let's bring in let's go to layout to bring in our command history, and here we can find the command history. Let's adopt the command history. Okay, and let's change the layout to 3 columns. Change it to 3 columns. We can dock the command history. Sorry, we can dock the command history from layouts. Okay, here we have it. You can see even the command window assumes the same font family and font size from the command window, while the workspace and the current folder takes in the desktop font family and the font size. Okay, to enter statement in the command window, for example, we can create a variable by just typing call the variable whatever you want to call it. Play this again. Let's say A equal to 12. Then if you want to suppress the output, you terminate it with semicolon. And if you don't want to suppress the output, you want the output to be printed on the command window, you just press, and you can see it here that the output is already printed there. For, let's say, MATLAB has so many functions. Later we'll go into how to use the MATLAB documentation for you to can easily search. As you can see now that we have a code completion coming up there, telling us sine as a sine function. So we can take the sine of a, which we've already input into our workspace here. So if we do that, that is sine a. Now this sine a that we have here is in radians. If you want to take sine 12 in degrees, is sine d, and then you call in the variable and you press enter. So you now see that this value and this value are different. Sine a is in radians, while sine d is in degrees. So sine a, which is 12, that's 12 degrees, is simply 0.2, while sine a, normal sine a, which is in radians, equal to minus 0.536 something. Okay. Now we can take B to show how you can suppress. If you want to suppress the output here, we just put semicolon and we press enter. Although you can see here that the value of B is not being buffered on the command window, but the value is stored here in your workspace. So you can pull it from here, drag it and drop it on the command window, and you press enter. Then the output will be generated on your command window. Okay. We can also let's take a look at inputting. Although MATLAB has some inbuilt, MATLAB itself has its data type, or the way to input data is in arrays or matrices. So how do you input matrices in MATLAB? You start with your variable equal to square bracket opens. Let's say we have 12, we have 3, and we have 5. That's row 1. If you put semicolon, that's row 1. Then we start again with row 2. That's 1 row, 3 columns. Then we add the second row. That's 3. Then we come again. Say we want to do it 3 by 3 space, and then we add the final one and we close. Let's not suppress the output, just press enter. So we can see here the output of the matrices that we have just imputed. And you come here to your workspace, you can see it's being stored in your current workspace, while the command history itself is recording your session. This is the time that we started this morning, and all that you have done in your command windows, the functions or script, any script that you call on the command window will be, the history of what you have done will be recorded in your command history. Although this, you can clear this, you can clear your workspace, and you can also clear your command window. Alright, let's take a look at if we want to use an inbuilt. MATLAB has some inbuilt functions you can use to generate matrices. You want to generate matrices of zeros, you just type 0, and then your auto-completion just came up, give you options, and there's where you can find more help for that particular functions. So let's say if I put 0, 5, that means I want to do a 5 by 5 matrix of zeros. So you can see we have column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. Sorry, rows, those are rows, and while these are column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. We can also, in the same vein, let me not put that into a variable. Let's just type zeros. We can do something like a 5 by 2 matrix, 5 by 2. And what will happen now, you just see that we're having a 5 by 2. MATLAB also has ones. If you want to generate matrices of ones, let's take a 4 by 4 of ones. You can see that, and also the ones, you can take a 4 by 3 matrices. That's 4 rows, 3 columns, and then we can multiply this, maybe this by a factor maybe of 3.6, and you see what we have there: 3.6, 3.6, 3.6, and so on. So a lot you can do there with matrices. One other one we can look at is what we call the magic matrix. And the magic matrix, we can talk about the magic matrix here. Okay. Alright, let's say we also take maybe a 10 by 10 magic matrix. Let's see what we have there. Really, what was a magic matrix? What is it all about? Magic matrix. Let's see. Alright, the help pops up. Let's see, what is it with the magic matrix. Say returns an n by n matrix constructed from the integers 1 through n squared with equal rows and equal column sum. So what this simply means is, if you add all the numbers on the rows, you will have the sum of it will be the same as every other row, and if you add the column, the sum of it will be the same like every other column. That is a magic matrix. So MATLAB is so powerful. Here you can just glance through the help examples through your code completion that comes up along with the help. So you can see so many examples where the magic function is to generate picture maps and being plotted there. That's an example from the documentation. So you have access to MATLAB documentation. I've just cleared the workspace, clear the command window. Alright, that was that on all. Entering commands in your command windows. Let's talk about if we enter statement in your, this is some of the basic things you will need to know, most especially when we go into scripting and writing functions for MATLAB. How do you, if you have a long statement on a line, how do you continue to write that same statement but yet on multiple lines? That is, continue long statements on multiple lines. In MATLAB, let's say I want to maybe I have a matrix. Let's start with the numeric type. If I have a matrix of let's say 1, 2, 3, but then I put in I don't want to display all these on one line. I want to make it multiple lines. You do 3 dots, 1, 2, 3 dots, then you go to the next line, and you can see the prompt is no longer there. It's expecting input from the user, so I can put maybe 2, 3, 4, again 3 dots. I want to go to the next line, then I now put 5, 6 and 7, then close the bracket. The other square bracket, the opening square bracket, is automatically highlighted. So let's not suppress the output with a semicolon. You just press enter. So you see you have the same matrix that someone would have just put it, everything on the same line. That is one. Let's see how we variable names. How do we name variables in MATLAB? Now, a valid variable name starts with a letter, not a number. That is one thing you note. A valid variable name starts with a letter. For example, if I have S, then I put 6. That's a variable. That's a variable. I can say equal to maybe 2. See, that variable now is highlighted. But if I say 6s equal to maybe 4, see that we have an error, invalid expression. Check for missing multiplication operator, missing or unbalanced delimiters, or other syntax error. So you don't start any variable name with a number in MATLAB. What you do, you start it with a letter. You can use underscore. You can use underscore. You can use underscore. Let's say S underscore G equal to sorry, equal to 4. You can see that it goes. But let's say you use G dash Y, and you say equal to 4. Let's just use 4, and you have an error, incorrect use of this, because the dash is a reserved symbol for subtraction in MATLAB. The same thing goes with if you have a factorial, let's say n. You can use this as MATLAB variable name, maybe n with that sign, and you say equal to. Automatically you see that your equal sign, the color has changed. It's no longer black as it's supposed to be. So if you put 3, even the 3, the color has changed, telling you it doesn't recognize that symbol as a variable name. So if you try to use that, you get an error, invalid use of operator. So actually what you are doing, you are actually trying to call MATLAB factorial function. So alright, so we can clear this off for now. Then you cannot also use end keyword. Once you type end, it turns to blue. That is a reserved keyword for ending functions, for ending your loops and if statements in MATLAB. So it's a reserved keyword. You cannot use it to make your variable name. Alright, we can also check the existence of a particular variable. If we have declared any variable, you use exist. You call exist function, then the variable name. Let's say for example we have A in the workspace. We say exist A, and you say it returns 1. This one simply means is a true false. 1 simply means that variable exists in our workspace at this current session of MATLAB. So if I try to find if R exists in my workspace, which it doesn't, so it will return 0. So you can check for the existence of a variable in your workspace. That is, I think that is all on how you can comfortably name your variables in MATLAB without having any problem or having MATLAB generate errors while you are coding. Okay, let's look at case and space sensitivity in MATLAB. We know that MATLAB code is sensitive to casing. That's your variable casing, whether it's lowercase or uppercase. It's very sensitive. It's sensitive to blank space, except when you are defining arrays. So in MATLAB code, you use an exact match with regards to case for variable files and function. For example, if you have a variable A, you cannot refer to that variable as capital A. So this is, for example, now I have A. A is already there. It's not there in my workspace. So if I had defined a particular variable to be capital A, I cannot come and call small a. Automatically it becomes an error. So unrecognized function or variable A, because MATLAB variables are all case sensitive. Now blank spaces, let's talk about blank spaces. If you have space around such operator like maybe minus, colon, or this are optional, but they can improve readability. For example, if you have a MATLAB interprets the following statement. That's if you have something like if I have y equal to sine, remember we talked about sine, that is sine in radians. I keep a space. MATLAB recognize it. Is good for readability. And I said 3 space then times pi. MATLAB has an inbuilt value for pi. Then space I put divided by 2. So in this case, MATLAB simply interprets this as writing y equal to sine, no space, 3 times pi close divided by 2. So the first statement and the second statement, MATLAB will interpret it as the same. Meaning that when it comes to expression, MATLAB does not look at spaces as spaces does not violate, does not affect MATLAB's. It's just optional if you put space. But it will improve readability for people maybe in your company, people that will review your code and so on. I think that is all for case and space sensitivity. Now, another thing we would love to look at is how do you format your output? How do you format your output? I think we have done this, but we'll take it a little bit further. MATLAB display output in both command window and the live editor. We will talk more onto that. You can see the live editor here. That's new live script. If you open here, you want to create a new script, live script. We have a normal script and we have a live script. So if you want to create this, MATLAB itself can display output for this tool, and even on the command window. Okay. By default, MATLAB display blank lines in command window output. You can select 1 or 2 line spacing option in MATLAB. Alright, how do we do that? We can go back to our preferences and we head to command window and we scroll and look for line spacing. Let's alright, we can see line spacing here. If you want it to be a compact line spacing, you can see line spacing here, or you want it to be a loose line spacing. Okay, let's go with the loose line spacing first. Let's see what we have. I can pull this down and return back here. We are having a loose line spacing. Let me clear my workspace. Having a loose line spacing, let's say SD or S equal to the farm is big. Okay, I'm going to suppress the output, and I'll now say here feeding is necessary for growth. Then I'm going to suppress the output. Alright, let's keep another space. Let's go back to preferences. Let's change the line spacing to compact, or the line spacing to loose. Okay, we can now say code to mic, suppress. Then void equal to Ben. Okay. Another way we can try this out, we can use commands. We can say format. You can use format. We can say format loose, and we press enter. Or we say format okay, that's wrong, sorry, 0. Now you can see the spacing. Now that we have set format loose, you can see the space between here and here. And look at when we set it compact. Look at the way compact. We can do this format compact. Then we now say C equal to 0. Then you can see the space between here. MATLAB has cut off those blank spaces when you set format compact, and when you set format loose, it spares them out, as you can see, as you can compare the space here and the space here. Okay, let's see how do we format floating point numbers. Now the floating point numbers, simply we have the default is always short, which you can see from the preferences. Look at here, the default is always short, so we can apply short there. Now if it's short, let's say for example I want to generate pi. What's the value for pi? So we can see it here. That's short. Now for example, that means simply format was set on short. That's for floating point numbers. That's short. I can change the format from short to short e as exponent. Then I go back to pi and I press enter, so you can see the differences. So this can also be done from your system preference. You can also come here, set on short e, pick even exa and so on. So you can come there, but it will be faster if you know the command. So we can also set the format for floating point numbers to long. And when we do that, we can bring back pi. So you now see for long is it brought out like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 decimal places. This is the effect of putting it on long. So this is our pi when we are on short. This is our pi when we are on short e, and this is our pi when we are on long. Now we can also look at asking MATLAB to wrap the lines of code to fit into your window. Okay, how do we do that? Let's say for example I say s equal to, I just want to type whatever I want to type here. So we type and type and type, type and type. See, so it's now going beyond that point. Then we can say enter. So it doesn't fit again into our window. So now, how do we make this? We can use wrap the lines. We can wrap the lines. How do we do that? We can just go back to preferences, then command window, and look for wrap lines. If you can see it here, it was not marked, so we need to mark this and press apply. So you can see now, as I've pressed apply, MATLAB automatically wrap the variable. We can now see everything on the command window. But if we come back and then unchecked and apply again, you see, you come back here, you cannot really see what is at the end of the command that you have just put. These are just the basic things that you need to know first. Then we have already talked about how to suppress output. You can use semicolon to suppress output. Then let's talk about if you want to clear the command window. We have talked about that. You use CLC for your command window. You use clear for your workspace. Then you use close if you have a figure. For example, now I want to say figure. Now I have a figure here, already here, and it's here. You can see it here. If I want to close the figure, I can just type close. All MATLAB figures will be closed. You can see it here. It's gone. It's no longer there. So those are the things you need to know. I think that is, we will look at how you can call function, how you can find function to use. Now, it's very simple for you to find any function you want to. If you look at your, let's play this again. Now we are looking at how do you find, because MATLAB has so many functions, how do you find the function to use? You look at the prompt here, look at my cursor where we have the prompt. You can just tap in here. Sorry, it's taking time to load on my system. But once you click on that FX by the side of your command window prompt, a pop-up will come up. That's a function browser. Comes up for you to search any function that you want that is within MATLAB. So for language fundamentals, how to import data, the mathematics aspect, the graphics, programming, app building, software, and up down to other toolbox. Each of the toolbox, everything that you have within all the toolboxes, all the functions that are available, you can search it here. Let's say, for example, I want to import an Excel file, data from an Excel file. I can just say XLS. Now MATLAB will search. That's a function. All the function that has to do with Excel files, reading Excel, finding out information from Excel, then writing to Excel, and many others that we have seen here. So here is a good place. You can come, then just click on the FX by the side of the MATLAB command prompt and search for any variable, any function that you want to use. Okay, let's also look at how you can let's look at how you can actually ignore the function output. Okay, we'll leave here. Let's go to MATLAB Pure Documentation. Click on Help. Now we can search for size. Now we want to find out the size of an array or matrix. So you can just see here, we click on it. We have seen the different usage for size. We want to see what happens. Returns the length of the query dimension. Okay. Alright, I'll minimize this. We're going to minimize this, and we will make A to be a magic matrix of 10. Magic matrix of 10. Alright, then if we do that, that's what we have. Let's try to find out what is the number of rows and the number of columns. Now, what we have simply done there is the output of the function size. We want to take the size of A. We don't want to suppress the output. So if we press enter, you discover that M there is output as 10 and N is output, whereas the number of rows is 10 and the number of columns is 10. Let's say, for example, I just want to use the number of columns. I don't have need for the number of rows. What we can do, we can open up, we can call the same function, but now we will use, let's find what is the symbol. The symbol, or we call it the tiled operator. So we can look for what is called the tiled operator. Okay, let me see how I can bring on my keyboard. Okay. See how I can bring the tiled operator up. Okay. Trying to bring the tiled operator up. Okay, having a hard time bringing that up, but let's see if I can get it and maybe copy it down here. Let's see, let's search for that in the documentation. Tiled operator. Tiled operator. Okay, we can't really bring that out. Okay. I need to bring that for you to see how you can ignore certain output from a function. It's just a symbol that I can't seem to get from my keyboard here. And seems to get it from my keyboard. Seems to get it from my keyboard. Let me see. let's see here. Let's search ignore function output. Okay, there. Okay. Alright. Here is where you have tiled symbol. I can quickly get that from my keyboard. You can see the tile function there. So I'm suppressing the number of rows using that symbol. Even if it's a custom function that you have written and you want to, it has maybe up to 3 output variables, you can suppress some of them with that symbol, or even up if you have need for, if you don't have any need for some of them. So if we now say enter, it now returns only n. We are no longer having the value for m. That is how to suppress or to ignore the output of a function. Then finally, for this particular part, let's see how you can stop MATLAB execution from the command window. Say for example, you run a while loop that runs indefinitely. Maybe you made a mistake and program a while loop that runs indefinitely from here. Or for example, you are trying to make a loop, maybe 1 to 10, and you press enter. Once you press enter, you can see now the system is asking you to continue the statement. We can end that and it goes off. But for example, if you say while I is greater than 1000, I equal to I plus I, then end. Okay, that actually executes. That actually executes fast. Okay, let's say while I is less than 1000, I equal to I plus I, and that executes fast. Okay, let's get to write something that will execute indefinitely. For example, if I say for I equal to 1 dash 0.001, then 1 million, then I will now say I equal to I times I. press then end. Now you can see here it's busy calculating. I can end this by saying Ctrl C. Can edit in the middle. So that is how to stop an execution either of a function or a script while it's executing on your keyboard. Ctrl C. If you are on Mac OS, you can use Command C to end it, or also Ctrl C to end it. Then I think that will be that for this session. Thank you very much, and see you in the next class.